Thank you for checking out Lakehead International's videos. You're about to watch one of our Lakehead International live webinars, a fun and informative way to learn more about Lakehead while also meeting faculty, staff, and current students. If you have any questions throughout today's video, please comment below. Otherwise, let's get started. And with that, I want to welcome you to Lakehead University. Of course, Lakehead University is located here in Canada, but more specifically, we call two hometowns home for us. We are located in the province of Ontario, and those two campuses are located in Orillia or Central Ontario, and our other campus is located in Thunder Bay in Northwestern Ontario. Between those two campuses, we have over 8,500 students pursuing 85 plus academic programs, over 2,000 faculty and staff supporting everyday operations, and of course, delivering those incredible programs. But share more details and perhaps shed some light on why Lakehead is a prestigious university is, of course, speaking to our rankings. So when we look at Lakehead being a research-intensive university, we consider sort of what research are we actively partaking in. And we've also been recognized for our not-for-profit research income. So we are number one in Canada in terms of not-for-profit research income in our category. And then if you're familiar with Times Higher Education and their global impact rankings, where they actually have institutions across the world pursuing different UN Sustainable Development Goals, we are the number one university in North America under 9,000 students. And last but not least, something across Canada that's conducted is called the Maclean's Magazine rankings. And we've consistently ranked in Canada's top 10 universities in our category, which is something we're extremely proud of. Another thing that we pride ourselves in is, of course, our entrance scholarships for international students, specifically at the undergraduate level. Last year alone, we gave over $7.8 million Canadian in those entrance scholarships to new and returning students. We're also extremely proud of our small classroom environments, which enhance our learning experiences. On the Thunder Bay campus, we have a student to professor ratio of 15:1, and on our Orillia campus, it's 13:1. What that all equates to, in our eyes, really the end goal is making sure that our graduates are employable. And so we're proud that our employment ranking is 96.3% of our grads are employed within 2 years upon or after walking across that stage, essentially, which is higher than the Ontario University average of 94.3%. That's a bit about Lakehead University and setting the stage, but next I want to share more about academics at Lakehead, which is, of course, what you've joined us here for today, and more specifically, sharing a bit about our areas of study or our faculties. So we offer programs in business administration, engineering, science and environmental studies, natural resources management, education, social sciences and humanities, law, and graduate studies. Today, of course, we're here to share more and dive into health and behavioral sciences. And with that being said, I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming and introducing the Dean, Dr. Marilla Stroying.
Thank you, Jordan. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see you all here today. So yes, I am the Dean of the Faculty of Health and Behavioral Sciences. Our faculty includes programs within a number of units. We have the Department of Health Sciences, which includes public health, as well as an undergraduate minor in aging and health. We have the School of Kinesiology, School of Nursing, the Department of Psychology, and the School of Social Work. And I'll talk about each of those a little bit more in just a moment. But I wanted to introduce myself as well and explain a little bit about what the Dean does in the context of the faculty. So a faculty is a grouping of academic departments and schools and programs. And in our case, we all are interested in what makes for healthy people and societies. And so indeed, we're interested in all of the determinants of health, from the level of the person, healthy behavior, psychological functioning and mental health, as well as healthy families, communities, workplaces, and society as a whole. So when we talk about, how does social policy, how does economic policy, how does environmental policy impact health and human behavior, that all flows through our faculty. So as a dean, my role in all of that is I oversee the academic programs. I support our schools and departments to offer top tier academic programs. filled with opportunities for experiential learning, community-based learning. We're very excited about some of our community partnerships. In several of our programs, you'd have the opportunity to work directly with a community organization and either do research or learn professional skills in those programs. We also conduct research. So all of our faculty are involved in programs of research, studying and learning more about what drives health and well-being today. So I help with our faculty to conduct that research and then to weave that knowledge through all of our programming, undergraduate and graduate. So I support and encourage academic excellence in our students and our faculty and our programs. And I'm a key contact person for students and faculty who all share those interests with each other. I'm available to students who have concerns or questions that are sort of larger than their department or program or school. And I help students develop that intellectual self-discipline and rigor that's needed to be a leader in the health sector of the future. So we serve almost 2,000 students in our faculty. We have about 250 undergraduate and graduate courses. We have award-winning instructors and a really strong network of community partners on both campuses who conduct work in the health and behavioral sciences in Northwestern Ontario and Simcoe County. So our programs are truly unique. We offer a lot of opportunities for hands-on learning and prepare you for a range of careers. Obviously in social work, nursing, kinesiology, you are learning professional skills, professional practice that will lead you to those careers. But all of our programs prepare you for a range of careers in the health sector, medicine, but also other things like law and education and public policy. So there are a number of different pathways that all of our programs lead to. Occupational therapy, physiotherapy, speech and language are also examples of programs, graduate level training that flows out of our undergraduate programs and beyond. So I'll turn now to talk a little bit about some of our undergraduate programs. So in kinesiology, they offer Bachelor's of Kinesiology programs. I'll let the representatives from the school talk a bit more about some of the unique features of that program. I'm very excited about their very hands-on lab-based learning, some of the opportunities that they have in that program for co-op. And other great things. But in general, in kinesiology, it's the science of movement. And so if you're wondering, how does an athlete get the best out of their motion, or how does a person who has suffered a stroke learn how to walk again? Those are things you'll be learning about in kinesiology. The School of Nursing offers undergraduate program in a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. They have two different pathways. One is a 4-year BSCN, and the other is a 3-year compressed. So the 3-year program is the same as the 4-year, but condensed into the summers, and you're taking a slightly heavier load. But it's a great program for people who are, maybe already eager to get out there and begin practicing. And of course, in nursing, there is a very strong emphasis on clinical training. So right from year one, you're immersed in our community with our community partners working in long-term care. There's labs as well, so that you get to practice your skills on very impressive high-tech mannequins. I was interacting with a new one just the other day where the eyes actually respond and blink, and it's app-driven, so it's an advanced technology where you can see the effects of your chest compressions, for example, and if they're deep enough. And anyway, so they have a very high-tech lab with great tools that you get to learn on. So that's nursing. Psychology offers both a Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Art programs. So you can approach the study of the science of how people think, feel, and act either by taking a lot of science courses alongside your psychology or taking arts and social sciences along with your psychology courses. And It's a great program leading to a variety of careers in the helping professions, but also in a number of other directions as well. Social work offers an undergraduate program, a 4-year HBSW that will lead you to be a registered social worker. And they also have practicum placements and also intensive clinical skills training that you do in small groups, and you're learning how to conduct interviews or do therapeutic interventions with clients as an undergraduate, which is great. And they also have a 1-year HBSW degree. So if you've already done an undergraduate program somewhere else in another discipline, but you want to become a social worker, you can apply to their 1-year HBSW, which in just 12 months gives you that designation of HBSW and would prepare you for graduate programs or for work as an undergraduate trained level social worker. I'll let the units, though, speak more about the details of their programs. They're all fantastic programs with great career trajectories. But I'll turn now to our graduate programs. We offer a number of master's and doctoral programs in the Faculty of Health and Behavioral Sciences. At the master's level, we have a Master of Health Science program, which leads toward work or study and research in health sciences, including epidemiology and big data. There's a lot of talk about accessing large data sets of relating to health and being able to study trends in population health, which is covered in health sciences. Kinesiology offers both a thesis-based program and a course-based program. And I'll let the representatives of the program talk a little bit more about the differences between those and what they do for you. But in both cases, you're working toward being a registered kinesiologist, and also in the thesis-based program, conducting research again on that on the movement, the science of movement. Nursing, we're very excited, has a relatively new Masters of Nursing program. And there's 2 streams. One is the advanced practice nurse, and the other is a nurse practitioner program. So both of those are fantastic programs. And in psychology, there's 2 master's programs, clinical, which leads you toward becoming a registered clinical psychologist, conducting therapy and interventions and assessments with clients relating to mental health. And then there's a psychological science master's program, which is more focused on research and really understanding the intricacies of how it is that people think, feel, and act the way that they do. The Department of Health Sciences also offers a course-based program in the Masters of Public Health, which leads to being a public health practitioner in a range of different ways. And so offers a master's in social work program as well, which can lead toward a sort of a higher level of practice as a social worker, a larger scope of practice, I should say. So that's the master's programs. On the doctoral side, we have 3 doctoral programs in our faculty. In the Department of Psychology, there is both a clinical psychology PhD program, which is an intensive 4-year program that leads to registration as a clinical psychologist. It's an accredited program. We're very excited that it is. We've gotten the longest term of accreditation, reflecting the strength of the program from the Canadian Psychological Association. And that includes a great deal of practical training and the internship. And it builds on the master's in clinical psychology. Those 2 programs kind of run together. And then the PhD in psychological science builds on the MSc in psychological sciences, a more in-depth capacity to conduct autonomous research, like your own program of research in psychological science. And then the PhD in health science builds on the Masters of Health Science and is also research focused. So you're getting an intensive capacity to build your own program of research in the broader health sciences. So I think that's it for our programs.
Awesome. Well, I want to take the opportunity to thank you for joining us. Of course, as the dean, you're incredibly busy. So thank you again for taking the time to dive into and scratch the surface of each of the programs offered within your faculty. With that being said, though, we are going to dive into the Department of Health Sciences next. The Department of Health Sciences provides students with an understanding of the complexities of public health and health sciences through a focus on individuals, communities, and organizations. Of course, our graduate programs will ensure students emerge as professionals and health researchers who will contribute to the enhancement of the overall health of Canadians and perhaps even beyond. The Department of Health Sciences also offers an undergraduate minor in aging and health to all students. So that minor in aging and health allows students to understand the needs and issues facing our aging, or older adults, and aging throughout the course of life, as well as the impact of aging on populations and society, as well as the impact of society on people as they age. The Masters of Public Health program is primarily intended to build on the knowledge and foundation of a person who is currently in the field of public health. The curriculum focuses on current issues in the science and/or services of public health so that students may gain experience or opportunities in any of the fundamental disciplines that underlie public health. The overall objective of the Masters of Health Sciences program is to provide students with an understanding of the complexities of health sciences through a focus on individuals, communities, and organizations. This program actually is primarily intended to prepare skilled graduates who will make a positive impact on health through involvement in research. And last but not least, the PhD in health sciences is designed to be a research-intensive program, emphasizing the development of research skills with a particular focus on vulnerable populations. So that's a quick overview of health sciences. Next, we're going to dive into kinesiology.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Paulo Sanzo, and I am an associate professor in the School of Kinesiology at Lakehead University. I'm also the assistant dean of the Faculty in Health and Behavioral Sciences. I wear a few different hats. I'm also a physiotherapist in the community, so I try to also bring that into my teaching as well as my research. Typically, I teach in the area of musculoskeletal injuries at both the undergraduate and the graduate levels.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us, Dr. Sanzo. I'll pass it back to you to kick things off and give our audience a quick overview of kinesiology.
So when we think about kinesiology, kinesiology is really the study of the science of human movement. Students will sometimes learn about analyzing critically the evidence and research as it relates to human movement, pathology, and different areas across the lifespan and in a variety of different regions. Students are also have the opportunity to take different professional certifications or being exposed to different training as it relates to, for example, ergonomics, or as it relates to personal training and exercise prescription or exercise physiology. It really tries to introduce a fairly holistic approach that is grounded in the research and evidence that guides some of our decisions. It also is an opportunity as a stepping stone to be registered with the College of Kinesiologists of Ontario, as kinesiology is one of the newest regulated health professions.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing more details about that broad overview of kinesiology. It gives the audience a better idea of course, the broad topics at hand. Next, we'll pass over to Dr. Zerpa, who's going to introduce himself and then share more details about some of the course material and learning material that you'll first encounter when you join kinesiology at Lakehead University.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Carlos Zerpa. I teach in the area of biomechanics. And when students join the program in kinesiology, they learn the science of human movement from different perspectives. From the perspective of biomechanics, in relation to locomotion, relation to human movement, as it relates to body segments and joints, and from the motor control perspective as well, and from the physiological perspective to look at all the functional capacity of the human relating to performance of the body as it relates to physiological elements. Also from psychology, musculoskeletal areas, and ergonomics. So through this course, students develop depth of knowledge to apply to the real work in terms of practical situations.
Awesome. I'm curious, Dr. Zerpa, could you share some insights to students. What are some of the favorite courses for our undergraduate students over the 4 years? I know that puts you right on the spot. You can name your own courses, of course, but when you chat with graduates or fourth years and they're reflecting back on their Lakehead experience, what do they speak to specifically, typically?
Students really like courses that connect theory to practice. For example, they talk a lot about musculoskeletal injuries, how that course really relates to what they learn in the classroom to the real world. Of course, they love biomechanics also in relation to, how the body moves in the mechanical way and how we could assess injury or prevent injuries that occur in the workplace by understanding, the mechanical movements of the person. They also love courses like ergonomics because it's really related to the workplace. From the physiological element, they like the connection to science and motor control in relation to motor coordination of the human for people with disability or people in situations where they have to learn new skills to function and adjust to the environment based on their constraints. And of course, they like the whole holistic approach of kinesiology to bring theory into practice.
Well, I'm glad you touched on theory into practice, because that's a great segue into passing over to Leanne Smith, who's going to share more about experiential learning opportunities and how our students are able to apply that theoretical knowledge into a hands-on learning environment through different practices that are formally built into the program and additional opportunities that are available to our students. So Leanne, I'll pass it over to you to share more.
Thanks, Jordan. My name's Leanne Smith. I'm the Practice of Kinesiology and Community Placement Coordinator, a staff position in the School of Kinesiology. I engage with our undergrad students a lot. You might see me initially in participating in recruitment activities, but then I also facilitate our fourth year career exploration and outdoor experience courses. I'm also an academic advisor, so particularly with third year students and transfer students. And I'm additionally your contact for study abroad opportunities, as well as our cooperative education program, which I'll tell you a little bit more about in a minute. But in terms of experiential learning opportunities, we have quite a few. In our undergrad programs, you have the opportunity from year one to apply your learning in lab settings, and that includes contact with community members. We have 2 courses with placement options, a 10-hour option and a 40-hour option, and then other opportunities outside of class to get involved, including volunteering in our local hospitals and clinics, with sport teams, and with our athletic therapists right on campus, just to name a few. In addition to that, Jordan, you were mentioning our some other experiential opportunities. So we have a co-op program, and co-op is a structured method of combining classroom-based education with a practical work experience. A co-op education, commonly known as co-op, gives you academic credit for structured job opportunities, a job experience. So if you complete a minimum of 4 4-month work terms, you'll graduate with a designation on your degree that says co-op. You apply to co-op in your first year, actually your second year of kinesiology, and your entry is based on your performance in King courses in first year. And then we work together with me and the main co-op contact, and we'll find you co-op paid employment opportunities. So it also helps support you get through school. It adds an extra year to your degree completion, but recent co-op employers have included chiropractic clinics, nurse practitioner-led clinic, our regional hospital and preventive services helping with health promotion and cancer care, a bioped where they sell orthotics and you shadow gait analysis and podorthic duties, MDAC, which is a place where they do sleep studies, so sleep technologists and pulmonary function tests. People have worked as student athletic trainers, also worked in workplace wellness and doing physical demand analysis, and then also some movement coaching. So many opportunities, so it's
Awesome.
exciting.
Yes, it really is. And I know that that work wouldn't be able to happen without your effort in connecting those students to those opportunities. So we thank you for that. And thank you, of course, for sharing more with our audience. Coming full circle to the Lakehead experience and speaking to where do our kin students go? Where do they graduate their degree and take it to the next stage? So I'll pass it over to Dr. Sandler to share more about those pathways and career outcomes.
Well, thank you. That's a common question that we do get in terms of what do I do after I graduate? Well, kinesiology and kinesiologists, or people that are trained in this area, have a lot of different opportunities. They can work as a kinesiology in a variety of different settings. This might include cardiac rehab. This might include other different disciplines that might be related to workplace injury, case and disability management as well. They might be directly involved in injury recovery programs, and this might include education or strength and conditioning exercise prescription. This could also be applied in prevention of different things like diabetes. They might be involved in the treatment of cancer patients, and whether it is, following their cancer treatment or potentially even during the treatment in terms of how to include exercise and nutrition and education into that. There's a variety of other things, including coaching, and coaching as it applies to behavioral change and wellness. It also acts as a stepping stone for our students who are looking at getting into other health professions such as occupational therapy, physiotherapy, chiropractic, medicine, osteopathy, physician assistant programs. There's a whole slew of things, and our students are very well trained and versed to prepare them for some of those other courses and programs after they complete the kinesiology program.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing more and also touching on sort of that well-rounded opportunities. I think that even though you covered it beautifully, there's also things that we weren't able to discuss. If we were to list all of the places our kinesiologists have gone in the past, we'd be here for too long, to say the least. But that's sort of the beauty in having a Lakehead degree and having the opportunity to enhance your learning through these experiential opportunities, placements, all that sort of stuff, is you get a taste for a wide range of foundational knowledge, and you can apply that knowledge and you can find your passions and then perhaps pursue those passions, whether that's continuing your education or diving headfirst into a career. So thank you again to the three of you for joining us and sharing more about kinesiology. It was my pleasure to have you. Next, we are going to dive into nursing.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today, Jordan. My name is Amanda Ruck, and I'm a faculty member in the School of Nursing at Lakehead University, and I teach in the first year of the program. The courses I teach are Relational Nursing Theory 1 and Nursing Inquiry. So we actually offer two streams of our program. We have a 3-year compressed and a 4-year delivery. In both of these streams, students take the same courses, and so it's really just the delivery of when the courses are that are different between the two, with students in the compressed section typically taking more courses at a time and going through the second summer to get it done quicker. So nursing, it's a profession that blends science with caring and technology with humanity. It's very much both an art and a science, and our courses throughout the curriculum reflect that. At Lakehead, our curriculum is really based around 3 big components: theory, lab, and clinical. Students will learn, those important theoretical concepts in a lecture hall, and many of our courses have associated labs with them or labs within them, where students have the opportunity to practice those, important hands-on skills in the lab setting with other students with our skills simulators. In fact, we have 4 dedicated nursing labs in the School of Nursing. One is for students who are doing weekly assessment labs. Another one is focused more on nursing skills. So for example, students might learn the theoretical components of, say, sterile technique and catheter insertion. And then they have the opportunity to go into a lab setting and practice those techniques, principles, and actually the insertion of a catheter on a simulator. And again, in the lab under supervision. Our 3rd lab is a specialized nursing lab. So we have simulators and equipment for pediatrics and obstetric specific labs. And lastly, we have a simulation lab. In fact, we offer a number of simulations throughout our program where students work with high fidelity or like high tech simulators, and they're in small groups. Essentially, they're given a case study with like a chart, and they would see, very similar to what they would see in practice. So they're given a chart and a situation, a scenario, and they can see the patient's history, their blood work, what medications they're on. They get all this in advance. And then they come into the simulation lab and they work with a mannequin type simulator that simulates the patient in the scenario. So these simulators can talk, their eyes blink, their chest rise, they have palpable pulses. Students take the vital signs. They can actually listen with their stethoscopes to the lung, the heart, the bowel sounds, pretty much everything a real patient can do, short of getting up and walking away. Students work through the scenario, and what's really important is at the end of the scenario, they have a debrief, and that's where they talk about kind of how things went. They get to see what their strengths were and areas for improvement. Overall, these sims help students to feel a lot more confident in clinical. And that's actually the third component of our program is clinical practice. So I overviewed kind of theory and lab, and students have many opportunities through our program to go to clinical. So that's the practice setting. And actually, one of the great things about Lakehead University and our program is clinical that starts in year 1 of the program. And students are exposed to actually a variety of clinical settings throughout. And in the winter of semester 1, they go to clinical weekly. And they're able to integrate the theoretical concepts and the lab-based learning, kind of putting that all together in the practice setting, again, under supervision and working with other students. Students are afforded clinical opportunities in long-term care, on medical surgical units, pediatrics or obstetrics, mental health, older adult, and they actually complete placements in year 4 where they work one-to-one with a registered nurse. On that, in year 4, many of our students have opportunities to go out of town for their placements. That may mean that a student goes back home for their placement. And Lakehead University, our school has a lot of connections all over the place to set up these placements. In fact, we have students who are going to New Zealand very shortly as part of their year 4 placement, which is really exciting. In year 4, students are also afforded the ability to rank their practice settings for the ones that they're most interested in. So they have some control over where they end up. And many of our students end up getting hired in these placements after graduation. So that's my quick kind of overview of nursing. I'll pass it back to you, Jordan.
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda. So I have some follow-up questions that I know the audience is going to be itching to hear about. You shared more about ranking your clinical placements in your 4th year. Can you elaborate sort of where students might be placed, the different types of fields of study that they may be interacting with within the Thunder Bay Regional Health Sciences Center, which conveniently here at Lakehead is located across the street. So it's a stone's throw away from our campus. So whether you're on campus in one of your theory classes and then you have clinical later that day or perhaps the next day, it's all very conveniently located. But back to the original question, where are these different fields of studies? Where can students typically pursue?
Yeah, absolutely. So many of our students do end up in placements at the hospital located in Thunder Bay. Like you said, it's walking distance, really close. So that's very convenient for students. They do placements all over. So many students have 4th year placements on medical or surgical acute care units at our hospital. We have students in maternal infant, mental health, pediatrics, and all over in critical care, the emergency department, in ICU. So really we have opportunities in 4th year for students to go all over the hospital and they complete these programs, complete the clinical placements there.
Awesome. I love to hear that because obviously that gives them a taste for sort of what to anticipate if they are going to go directly into a career as a nurse. They will get a better idea. They'll have a taste for sort of what does that area focus on in terms of level of care and service. Another question that I have, and I think that might help our audience maybe either select this program or determine if it's right for them. Who is the ideal applicant to a nursing program or who is best suited to become a nurse?
Absolutely. You know, anyone who's really interested in pursuing a career in healthcare. So, like I said, we have graduates who, after they graduate, they're going into a number of different settings. Some move into professional programs, and many of them actually end up working in the place, like I said, that they end up doing one of their last placements. So, this could be medical, surgical, acute care nursing, or a more specialized area, maternal health, mental health, pediatrics, community health. Like the list goes on. There's so many different places our grads end up. And we also have students who may eventually move in either right after school or a couple of years down into the master's program. So at Lakehead University, we offer a master's in nursing, and we have two streams. One is the advanced nursing practice, and another one we have is the nurse practitioner. So there's many opportunities here.
Awesome. My final question is for students that may be pursuing a nursing degree here in Ontario. What's their likelihood of being hired as a nurse elsewhere in Canada? And what is the credential that they receive upon writing their final exam?
Yeah, so after students finish the program, they successfully meet, all of the requirements to complete the program. They will then be eligible to write what we call the NCLEX exam, which is a national exam. And once they pass that exam, they're actually able to work and apply for a nursing license in any of the provinces in Ontario. So we do have many of our graduates who are from other provinces, go back home and get a nursing license there and work there. So there's certainly no shortage of jobs right now in nursing. So that transition is fairly straightforward.
Awesome. I pose that question because I also recognize that once you write your NCLEX and you've been practicing, several of my friends that have done the program, and I've heard stories just being here at Lakehead for a number of years, students will actually take that degree and go elsewhere around the world. So whether that's going back to their home country, perhaps to pursue a nursing career, or go beyond and go to a higher education or a professional program, or if they cross the border into the States, they can start working in select states right away. And then with a few years of practice, they are more eligible to write other exams that are applicable to perhaps a more desired location. And travel nursing is sort of the new hot topic right now. But I mean, like I was saying before, and like you covered beautifully, Lakehead's nursing program really prepares our grads to go into a variety of different careers and pathways. Of course, direct entry into the nursing field being the most important and critical. So thank you so much for joining us. It's been my pleasure to host you, of course, and learn more about nursing. Next, we are going to dive into psychology.
Thanks, Jordan. My name is Rupert Klein. I'm the chair of the psychology department at Lakehead University. And I've been at Lakehead University for about 16 years. And I'm really excited to talk to you today because, like many of you, I'm international. I was born in Germany. I've lived in many different cities across Canada and a couple of cities in the United States. So I know what it's like to travel, and I know what is exciting about Thunder Bay and Aurelia and Lakehead University as a whole. I chose to come here because I love the outdoors. I love the opportunities that are abundant at Lakehead. So let me talk to you a little bit about psychology and what we can offer and why you should come to Lakehead. Our program is situated in Thunder Bay, our main campus here. We have about 15 psychologists, and we also have a secondary campus in Aurelia, Ontario, and Southern Ontario, and we have a new burgeoning psychology program there. So we have 4 professors in Aurelia in psychology, and we have about 11 or so up here in Thunder Bay. And we all cover various different aspects of psychology. So we have the full breadth of research opportunities and courses offered at most of the other universities. What we specialize in is in First Nations Indigenous mental health. We have experts in neuroscience, which are rapidly growing. So people who are experts in sleep and emotional regulation and perception. And we have people who specialize in cannabis use and vaping and online gambling. And I could go on and on, but there's a huge variety of opportunities to study at Lakehead. And so what we have are 2 streams that you would think of in the undergraduate, either the Bachelor of Arts or the Bachelor of Science. And you can have 3-year or 4-year options, and even a 4th-year specialized honors option if you're interested in doing some really in-depth research in your final year of the undergraduate program. We also have a graduate accredited clinical program in psychology, both at the master's level and at the doctoral level. So these are typically very difficult to get into, but we are very proud of these because at least 40% of our graduates stay up here in Northern Ontario to service a community that is roughly the size of France geographically. So we have a real big task up here in the north. We have a large population of people who need help, and we try to get as many psychologists into the region as possible. So we have a number of training opportunities and practicum opportunities and volunteer opportunities to get students involved right off the bat. So whether you're undergraduate or a graduate, we have lots of chances to get involved in research and volunteer opportunities. We have 2 clubs, both here and in Aurelia, that do lots of work for either research talks or presentations or community work, working with food banks and some of the local agencies. So I think it's a wonderful time to be involved in psychology. This is a very exciting time with technology and various opportunities and social advocacy. So please visit us. We have an Instagram page, Lakehead Psychology. We have a website they can get more information on, or you can email me directly. It's rgklein@lakeheadu.ca. You can see me on our department website. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing more. I have some questions that I know are quite common among students that are perhaps interested in psychology. Looking and focusing on the undergraduate studies, you mentioned that there's 2 streams in the undergraduate studies. Can you explain the difference in streams and why students might prefer one versus the other, perhaps?
Yeah, if their interest is in clinical psychology or sometimes the postgraduate programs, it really depends on where your skills and where your best performance is at. So in terms of going to clinical psychology, it doesn't really matter if you're in the BA or the Bachelor's of Science options. The difference is when you come in first year, you have certain required courses. And the Bachelor of Science is very restrictive. You need a certain required courses in the first year. And that's great if you want to go into neuroscience, or that's where your strengths lie. You like the scientific or biological approach. And we have a number of researchers, like a neuroscientist or who study hormones and the brain or perception, and that would be sort of the scientific aspect. The arts degree is more flexible. There's only one required course in that first year, and that's introductory psychology. And outside of that, you have lots of electives. So you can focus on your strengths, be that English or history or whatever you want to study further. We have other minors in philosophy, gender studies, that you can associate with your degree if that's your interest area. If you're going into clinical psychology, it doesn't make a big difference whether you take either stream. We tell students to focus on their strengths. And the same goes if you want to go to law school or think about your future career path and prerequisites. So we have a number of students who go into audiology, speech pathology, sports psychology. So it really depends on what your interests are. We tell students that you can't go wrong in psychology because the first 2 years are identical for both of those programs. So whether in the B or BSc, you can't go wrong. If you don't know what you want to do, I would suggest going into the HBA program. That's the most flexible. You can't go wrong. And after the first year or 2, we have an in-house advisor. We have a psychology program coordinator who is just for psychology, who you can meet at any time. She works 9 to 5 every single day just to answer student questions. So if you're concerned about what courses do I take? Do I have certain prerequisites? What should I be doing? Can I have some transfer credits that can be counted towards this degree? Our program coordinator can help you with that. So she can help review everything and give some advising. And if she can't, she usually sends you to me and I can advise students.
Awesome. I'm glad you mentioned the program coordinator because I recognize that being a smaller institution, access to both coordinators and student sports, but more importantly, professors are going to help you guide and determine your passions, perhaps. So like Dr. Klein said, when you join psychology one day, you may not know exactly where that career is going to take you or where that degree is going to take you. And that's okay. I think that's the beauty of higher education is that you start to develop those passions and interests, and then you can start to even have conversations with your professors. How did they get to where they were? What career path did they take? And they'll share their own stories and perhaps provide you with opportunities that at larger institutions are going to be more competitive or restrictive in terms of your level of study that you're pursuing. So I think that's another great offering about Lakehead. Dr. Klein, did you have any final thoughts on sort of why Lakehead for a psychology major?
No, you actually just made a great point. I tell students that all the time, talk to your professors, get to know them. Our class sizes are smaller. Larger institutions have introductory psychology classes that are 1,000 or more students for their psychology class. Ours are not that large. Ours are smaller, at least in the first year, they're a little bit larger, maybe from 100 to 300, but then they go down to 60 to 30 to 10 or 15 for some of those smaller classes. So you can go up to your professors, you can talk to them and ask them. There's lots of opportunities to get involved. We talk to students repeatedly about just getting to know your profs. There's wonderful people with a really diverse background, from working on submarines to working on creating laws that get enacted in both the US and Canada. I mean, there's just a lot of people doing really exciting stuff. So the best thing I can tell students in terms of advice is talk to professors, get to know them if you have that opportunity.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for sharing more about psychology. I really appreciate your time. Next, we're going to dive into social work.
Thank you very much, Jordan. Hello, everyone. My name is Tess Buchanan, and I'm the Field Education Coordinator and the Academic Advisor for the undergraduate program at the School of Social Work at Lakehead University, the Aurelia campus. And the work that I do as far as my field education coordinating role is I help to match students with a practicum on the ground training after they've done work learning theory about the social work career or vocation, as many students like to look at it. And as for the academic advising part, I get to know a lot of my own students that I'm working with in the 3rd and 4th year cohorts, as well as the 1-year program, by helping them to make sure that they select all the right courses and that they're ready to graduate when that celebratory time comes. Social work itself, well, let me tell you about it. For many students, it's a vocation. It's not just a job. It's somewhere where students who wish to elevate humanity and be of service to others, they come to social work to learn how to do that. A lot of students that come into the social work program have come through adversity themselves and have been assisted by people within social work or social services, and want to use that as an opportunity after they've come through to give back. The great thing about our program is that we have small class sizes. Students have the opportunity to be able to really interact with their professors and get to know them. Class discussions are always animated and warm because you really get to know your student colleagues in your classroom. And while we're all learning theory, we're also learning to support each other and develop those skills, some of which are inherent to all of us, and enhancing them and elevating them to use in a professional practice. So it's the kind of vocation that draws people with often with a love of humanity. And I know that sounds grandiose, but in the world that we're in today, love is essential, and social work allows an individual to learn the skills to be able to work through their hearts towards serving others and raising them up any way they can. Ultimately, our goal as social workers is to be useful and to be able to go into an environment, whether it's an agency doing clinical work or community work or whatever, wherever you go, there's always an opportunity to be useful and to help elevate those that are come across our paths. So it's important work. It also it provides a professional designation. It's a sought after designation. It allows for registration in our governing body, our regulating body, the Ontario College of Social Work and Social Service Workers, and that's basically a license to practice. So what that allows for a social worker that graduates from our program is to not only register for with the college, but their career paths are endless because social work is valuable in every aspect of society. And some of our, there are certain demographics that students come across all of them. You really can't focus because if you want to focus, you're gonna forget about all the other people you could be helping, because if you want to help children and say you want to go into child welfare, those children are often connected to families, and there's a constellation of people that you're going to learn to interact with as well. Grandparents and parents and aunts and uncles. If you want to work, for example, if you're interested in law enforcement, corrections, there's room for social work in there. Even more so than ever before, as a lot of policing services love working with social workers, not only to help de-escalate, sometimes very potentially conflictual instances, calls that they're called on, but also to help keep some humanity within the role of policing, which exists and is there, but isn't always focused on in the media. Another thing that really enhances a social work student's education is one learns to reflect not only on our own beliefs, but also narratives that we happen to adhere to. And I guess the most important gift that we give ourselves is when we learn to use the skill of critical thinking, and we learn to sort of not only question our own beliefs and the narratives that we truly believe in, but we start to be able to question things beyond us, narratives that are being offered through media, through whatever organizations, because it's very important to listen to all information, gather it as a critical thinking social worker, to be able to disseminate and not necessarily have an opinion, but to know what all parties might be, where they might be. Because when you're in social work, political stripes don't matter. What matters is the person's humanity. And the values of social work, first and foremost, are to identify and recognize the inherent dignity and value of every human being. So if an individual is motivated by that kind of work, to bring the best of oneself to others and to encourage them to find that very best within themselves, then certainly social work is a place for you.
Awesome. I am almost at a loss for words, because I don't think I've been on a session where someone has been able to interweave the importance of both the foundational knowledge that is key to your academics here at Lakehead and to any university degree, but also what you bring to the table as a unique individual and as a prospective student for our audience, what they'll be able to look forward to in the social work program. I'm really happy to hear that also you touched on sort of the social work as it's evolved, maybe 30, 40 years ago. Going into the social work field, your jobs were fairly defined to an extent, but now social work has interwoven itself into the fabrics of in an incredible amount and a vast variety of sectors, to say the least. And so students that are interested in social work at Lakehead can certainly expand that knowledge through maybe both their extracurricular activities, but also some of the elective courses that they'll be able to enroll in while studying the program. If you had sort of advice to students in the final 30 seconds or so, what would you say to somebody who is interested in social work?
Well, I think that if you really want to come to know who you are as a human being, I really believe that the answers are in our hearts. And the beauty of the social work profession is that when you find that beautiful part of yourself, it is one of the greatest skills that you can bring to the career of social work, or the vocation, because it's where you actually are licensed to be able to elevate human beings and to help them to maybe find the beauty and the love within themselves and in their communities and in their neighborhoods, and even in the communities around them that they don't know or don't want to know, but maybe open up to the fact that they're probably more alike with us than we think. So I think that honestly, social work is moving in all places all over, communities and cities and countries, because it elevates everyone that is interested in being a part of it and in being involved. So that's how I feel about it. For me, it brings light to dark spaces. And if you can do that, then you've done a good day's work. So that's how I feel about it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Tess. It's been my pleasure to be your host. To our audience, we have one more topic to cover, and that's checking out some student testimonials before we dive into our live question and answer period. So I'll meet you over there. So this is actually one of our graduates from the Honors Bachelor of Science and Nursing program, Opayemi. She graduated from the program, but when we had an opportunity to sit down with her and chat about her Lakehead experience, she reflected on specifically the clinical placements and the opportunity that she had to work in the hospital setting. So she said it was a good experience having placements directly on the floor with experienced nurses to build relationships and trust. Further, she also added on that Lakehead made her see education is not just a gateway to a job. It was great to catch up with her. If you would like to hear more student voices or, of course, read more testimonials similar to hers, you can always head over to lakeheadu.ca/international and navigate to the Student Voices section. So that concludes our formal presentation on the Faculty of Health and Behavioral Sciences. Next, we're going to dive into the live question and answer period.
I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, I want to encourage you to comment below or connect with us on social media. We can be found at Lakehead International on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks for watching once again, and hopefully we'll see you at the next live webinar. Bye for now.